The Galaxy S24 FE is as basic a smartphone as you can get, and that is what makes it a great phone. Here is our full video review of the Galaxy S24 FE. Welcome back to SamMobile TV. You're here with Daniel, and in front of me here is my Galaxy S24 FE. This phone isn't probably something that I would use in my day-to-day, but that doesn't make it a bad phone, because I'm not really the target audience for a phone like this. Let's go through what the phone is, and then at the end, talk a little bit about who this phone is for and why it kind of exists. Starting with the design, there's not much to it. It's a slab smartphone from 2024. Pretty much could look like any of the others or be any other phone from any manufacturer. It does have a couple of signature Samsung cues. You do have the triple camera setup that's sort of got the floating minimalist look, as well as the protruding cameras, which sort of signifies that it's not a top-end phone. It's a bit more mid-range, or sort of closer to the mid-range than it is to flagship. You've got the aluminium around the mid-frame, and then you've got a flat display on the front. All that's pretty standard. The S24 FE kind of has a bit of subtlety about it that makes it nice to hold. I like the slightly curved nature that it's got here at the mid-frame that connects to the glass. It does make it really nice to hold in the hand here. It feels really, really comfortable. I like this sort of ergonomics about it. What else is there to say? I mean, there is one more thing to say. It's massive. The S24 FE this year went up from 6.5 inches to 6.7. And it actually puts it in the territory of the S24 Ultra in terms of size. Not because it's the same size display. It's obviously 0.1 of an inch smaller. But more for the fact that the bezels around the display are a little bit thicker, meaning you actually have more phone to hold. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Some people maybe like the slightly thickened bezels to stop accidental touches. But being a flat screen, I haven't really experienced that anyway. The other parts of the design that you sort of notice is that it's just so unnoticeable. It is just a smartphone, and that's it. There's no unique elements about it outside of the floating cameras, which kind of hints that it's a Samsung phone. The display, on the other hand, is signature Samsung. This, I guess, is where that whole flagship sort of entry-level device comes into play here, because it's great. It's 120 Hz adaptive refresh. It's got dynamic AMOLED 2X. It is only full HD+, but you're not going to really be bothered too much by that. It's got an optical fingerprint scanner, which has been quite frustrating to use, as you can see just from this example here. Overall, the display is excellent. Colors are nice. The refresh rate is smooth. Animations are great. You cannot fault this display. Especially for people who are using this phone, you will not have any issues. Scrolling and interacting through apps is smooth. Like, you're not going to have any issues or lag. You really will have a nice time as you scroll sort of through Twitter, scroll through the device and the software. It's great. Watching content is good as well. You fire up YouTube, you've got some really good sort of content to display on it. And it also fills the entire screen and looks really, really nice. You can obviously notice the bezels a little bit more around the frame there, but still a nice display. So as far as design goes, it's pretty stock standard. The only thing to note is that it's big. And I think you have to decide based off that whether you want a big phone or whether you'd like something more compact. Because if you want something more compact, the base model S24 is probably the way to go. Now, as far as the cameras go, I have actually done a full camera review on the S24 FE already. So you can go and check that out. The main sort of takeaway from the camera review that I did, not to spoil it, although I am a little bit, is that the main camera, excellent. The 50 megapixel 1x camera is superb. The cameras flanking it, less so. The ultra-wide's quite soft and lacking a lot of detail. Processing's fine in terms of dynamic range, but outside of that, not really that good. 3x camera, awful. I think it's probably Samsung's worst camera that they've put on a smartphone, especially at this higher, sort of mid-tier to higher end. It's just not great. It's 8 megapixels in resolution that they upscaled to 12, and you notice it in the photos. I urge you to go check out the camera review. It's not all bad, especially this one-times camera, but definitely go check that out and then come back and finish this, because there's still a bit more to talk about. The other big controversy surrounding this phone outside of the cameras is the chipset. Globally, Samsung is using the Exynos 2400E. interesting choice by Samsung. I don't think it's a bad one. I think the Exynos 2400 proved more than capable on the S24 and S24 Plus this year. And again, I have actually done a full performance comparison with this to the 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy and the 2400 on the S24. So that's another thing you can sort of discuss. But in day-to-day operation, performance of this is fine. I have to remember that I'm not the target audience of this phone. And even me not being the target audience, you don't notice any performance issues. Especially with how you use an S24 FE, the main target consumer is not going to be heavily doing workloads or gaming. It'll all be light of everything. Light social media, light gaming, light productivity, checking emails. And that's really about it. There's not going to be any sort of heavy, intense loads that they'll be partaking in. And for all of that, you'll be absolutely fine. The 4,700 mAh battery will get you through the first day just fine and a little bit into the second, because this is a phone that's not made to be used heavily. Some people might look at that and be like, what are you talking about? It's a flagship phone. But this is leading me into, well, who's this for and why does it exist? The S24 FE, I guess you could call it Samsung's take on the iPhone SE, in that it's designed for people who maybe don't necessarily care too much about their phone, but still want the Samsung brand and logo. And what they get is they get the best of Samsung, or the core of Samsung, in an affordable package. They get a flagship processor, so performance should be good. They get a flagship camera with the 1x camera on the main here. They get an excellent display that has a high refresh rate. They get a long-lasting battery. They get premium design, albeit one that's a little bit bland and not too exciting, especially when you compare it to a foldable. So what this is a phone that is intended for a user that wants a good phone, but doesn't need all the bells and whistles. They don't need a 5x camera paired with a 200 megapixel main camera. They don't need the S Pen. They don't need an anti-reflective coating because they're going to put a case and a screen protector on it anyway. They just want a solid, dependable phone that will do a job for them. And that's what the FE is. It's not going to be the phone that you can wow your friends with super crazy zoom, or an S Pen that can turn your handwriting into digital text. It's not going to be the phone that folds in half. It's literally going to be the phone that you can depend on. And that when you need to use it, it's got the performance and the capabilities to allow you to do so. A lot of people will probably write a lot of doom and gloom about the S24 FE. You have to remember that those people are reviewing the phone from the lens of power users. And whilst I'm a power user myself, I can separate a little bit that this is a phone that is not meant for me. This is a phone that is meant for the user who wants a good smartphone, doesn't want to pay too much, but also doesn't want to pay not enough. That's who this is for. Let me know what you think in the comments. A lot of people will probably disagree, especially in the landscape of smartphones that we live in. There's a lot of other brands out there and a lot of different price points that probably offer better numbers than what this does. The thing to consider though is that Samsung is a global brand, part of an ecosystem of products that can fit alongside this. If you try and go for a smartphone at the lower end from another manufacturer, you'll get a really good experience. What you're not going to get is the ability to pair an ecosystem around it very easily. So a Galaxy Watch, the Galaxy Ring, pair of Galaxy Buds, all of that is so tightly intertwined with the Samsung sort of experience, but also available pretty much everywhere. That's our review of the Galaxy S24 FE. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts about this phone are. Hit subscribe to SamMobile TV. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.